You've addressed many things, and there's one more question I'd like to ask. Actually, two more, but second to last question, and we'll start with Ms. Yogaratnam to answer this one. What can we do, or what can you do, so that corporate Canada becomes a bigger partner in Canadian sport from playground to podium?
Thank you for your question. I think what we can look at are things that other countries have done. So I know in other countries they've done innovative tax credits where sometimes businesses that sponsor sporting activities sometimes have upwards of 150% tax credit for their investments. That's not something that's in our platform, but it's certainly something that we are willing to look at. I think working not only with corporations, but with athletes and sporting organizations to see what kind of funding structure we can put in place apart from the direct funding that the government provides would be a useful means of figuring out what would be best not only for the athletes and the organizations, but what would be the most effective incentive for corporations to participate. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, Mr. McHugh-Russell.
I think there's two things that we need to do to keep business and corporate Canada involved in amateur sport. The first thing we can do is make sure that we continue to have a strong economy and that the base of our economy is strong. Business, when it's having difficulty making ends meet, doesn't invest in community programs, it doesn't invest in amateur sport, it doesn't invest in the arts, it doesn't invest in the cultural and athletic institutions of our society. We need the foundation of our economy to be strong, and I believe the NDP plan is the best plan to keep our local businesses, our small businesses, strong going into the future. Helping them with the energy costs, helping keep their costs low, helping them keep jobs, make the transition through new technologies. So that's the first thing. Strong businesses is essential to making sure that they have the resources to invest in sport. The second aspect is that we have to invest in the communities. We have to make the initial investments so that the programs are there, so that the facilities are strong, so that the businesses are going to be proud to put their name up on the building if they want to invest in those sports, so that they're going to be proud to put their name on the back of the jacket of those teams. So that's the two things. I just want to say, Ms. Georges has identified all of the people she has talked to, all of the countries she's gone to, all of the meetings she's attended. But the reality is, the government hasn't taken action on this issue. The International Olympic Committee is going to violate the Charter, violate Canadian law, and exclude Canadian athletes, women, from participating in a sport which men are allowed to participate in. Not only that, not only is it a participation issue, but the women's ski jump team isn't going to get the federal funding that the men's ski jump team does. It's a violation of the Charter, it's a violation of Canadian law, and this government is allowing it to happen. Yes, they're talking, they're trying to do something about it, but they're not taking resolute action, and that's what they have to do.
Thanks. I'll give you, Ms. Georges, a chance to respond quickly to that.
Yeah. Well, that's actually completely very false. There is everything you're saying is false. It's actually ridiculous. But there was a settlement that was negotiated between the ski jumpers and the government, and what that settlement said that I would work with them, the government of Canada would work with them to help convince the International Olympic Committee to change the rules. The government of Canada, and no government actually has any authority over the decision-making process of the International Olympic Committee, and I think that athletes in this room know that better than anyone. But what we can do is continue to advocate on their behalf and work as hard as I have. I have said many times that I think that they are behaving like an old boys club, and that they are not above the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and that women across this country are going to continue hard to push. When I ask the question about criteria and how many ski jumpers there are, I've been getting a different answer from every IOC member I speak to. I have not received a clear indication as to why they made the decision they did. I get a number of 80 skiers, I get a number of 120 skiers, I get a different number every time. And we've got a long way to go until we get to 2010, and I'm going to continue to work as hard as I have. But we don't have any authority over the International Olympic Committee. They are not governed by the Government of Canada.
Thank you.
And the agreement that's in place is agreement that was signed by the previous Liberal government as to how things would play out in Canada, and I'm working within those guidelines.
Thank you, Ms. Georges. And now, if you could answer the other question, which was, what will the... Yes?
No, the corporation?
Yeah, we'll go...
I didn't speak.
Ms. Georges will address this question, and then Mr. Kusner last.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, we got sidetracked there, but once again, the question is, what are you going to do to ensure that corporate Canada becomes a bigger partner in Canadian sport?
Sure. I think what we need to do is encourage our corporations to stay in Canada and to see if we can increase more opportunity and more corporations coming into Canada. And to my NDP's point about, keeping corporations in Canada, you would have to keep taxes low for that. Now, the CFIB has just pointed out that corporations are actually leaving Ontario to go to more friendly tax environments in other provinces in the country. So what the NDP proposes to do is to stop what we're trying to do with respect to reducing the taxes on corporations. If you want to keep them here, you have to keep the taxes low. They're private business. They don't have to stay here. So let's help them keep their taxes low so that they can pay for the increased energy costs. Let's not tax them with any new taxes at this time, because it's not the right way to go for global economy and for Canada's economy. But in addition to that, with participation, part of what participation is all about is reaching out to these big corporations to help them contribute, to give money, to help encourage more people to become more physically active. And that is actually a major component of the participation program, which I'm very pleased and proud that our government has put in place, because we recognize that to have a healthy nation, we have to have healthy Canadians who are physically fit and physically active.
Thank you, Ms. Georges. And now, Mr. Kusner,
turn.
now it's your turn.
Sorry, a little premature there, sorry. I think corporate Canada has gotten better in recent years with how they deal with sponsorship, and different corporations look for different things with their sponsorships. And it's a complex issue because, we see what's arisen over the last number of days here with Van Ock and with Mitsubishi and GM. When corporations sponsor an athlete or a group of athletes, a team of athletes, and an event may be being supported by a competitor, then complications arise. But I think we've moved and grown as to where we are dealing with our corporate sponsors. I think that there should be, and there should be, a meeting of the minds, because I think corporate Canada understands the benefit in its association with the athletes. I think they could get more than just advertisements during the lead up to the Olympics from the athletes. And during lunch here, we had the discussion with a couple of very insightful young athletes that say, we want to get out there and we want to connect. And we talk about the participation thing. And when we invest that kind of money to try to move young people again, they are being bombarded with so many different types of media now. It's not like it's going to be back in the 70s when participation first started up, where we had CBC and CTV, and we all saw the 50-year-old Swede. And we're competing for their interest right now. And I think the secret lies in this room, in being ambassadors for sport, being ambassadors for active living, and having that relationship with corporate Canada. And if we can get a best practices, if we can get some companies that really know how to do it, really know how to seize the opportunities with you, the athletes, then we're on to something. Thank you.
Thank you very much.